I don't tell this story often, mostly because people assume anyone who was home alone and saw a figure in the hallway is either half asleep or exaggerating. But I wasn't tired. I wasn't scared yet. I wasn't even alone by choice. I was 19, living at my aunt's place for a few weeks while she traveled for work. Her house was quiet in a peaceful way, the kind of calm that makes you feel like life is taking a breath. I remember thinking it would be a stress-free break after finals. Just me, a couch, and endless comfort shows. Nothing dramatic, nothing eerie. But the first night, it already felt wrong. Not loud wrong. More like how the air in a room feels before lightning hits. That thick, metallic heaviness. I tried ignoring it, because who wants to admit they feel creeped out on night one? Still, even with the TV on, I kept glancing toward the hallway. Not because I heard anything. Just a weird pressure, like someone stood there quietly, staring, observing. I brushed it off. Everyone gets that being watched feeling sometimes, right? The second night is when things actually began. I was brushing my teeth when I heard the first sound. A soft shuffle. Not quite footsteps. Not quite dragging. Something in between. Like someone moving slowly in socks on carpet. I spat toothpaste into the sink and stood still, listening. Nothing. I told myself the house had settled. Old pipes. Whatever. But when I turned off the bathroom light, the hallway looked darker than before. Not regular darkness. A kind of smothered black. Thick. Dense. It made my chest tighten. I walked to the guest room and shut the door faster than I meant to, laughing at myself like an idiot because I didn't want to feel this way. I wasn't a kid. I wasn't supposed to get spooked by empty hallways, except it didn't feel empty. Around 2 a.m., something woke me up. A tiny sound. Barely there. Like a whisper. Or breath. Right in the room with me. I snapped upright in the bed. That hardened throat panic hit instantly. The bedroom was cold. So cold that the tip of my nose hurt. The digital clock said 2:03. I didn't move for maybe a full minute. Told myself it was the fan. Or the AC. Or a dream. Then I heard it again. A long exhale. Not mine. Not the house. Inside the room. I turned on the lamp so fast it fell against the wall. Warm light flooded the room, and everything looked normal. Completely normal. But the air still felt wrong. Still cold. And I swear the shadows on the carpet didn't match the objects in the room. I kept that lamp on until sunrise. By day 3, I was exhausted. I looked like someone had wrung out my nerves like a towel. But nights were the worst, because each night, the hallway got louder. Soft shuffles, then slow, deliberate steps, then breathing, heavy breathing, like someone trying not to be heard. I tried recording it on my phone once. Nothing showed. Silence, which somehow made it even worse, because the house wasn't hiding anything. It was playing with me. Hey, before I continue, if you're alone right now, maybe don't be. And if you love real creepy stories that stay with you long after the video ends, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share. It genuinely helps keep these stories coming. That I almost left the house after that night. I even packed my backpack. But for some reason, maybe pride or denial, I stayed. Night 4 is the one burned into my memory. The one I dream about. The reason I still sleep with my bedroom door locked. I had fallen asleep on the couch because the guest room felt invaded. I woke up around 1:30 a.m. because the TV turned itself off. That wasn't automatic. I checked the settings the day before. The room was dark except for the glow from the hallway night light. The cheap kind that flickers with the slightest vibration. It was flickering now. Fast, then slow, then stopped completely. My pulse hammered as I sat up. The house was dead quiet. The air is heavy, like I was underwater. Then, from the hallway, a footstep. Soft, slow, deliberate. I froze. Couldn't blink. Couldn't breathe. Another step. Then another. Coming closer. I whispered, "Aunt Marie," even though I knew she was still in Chicago. No answer. Then a silhouette appeared at the far end of the hallway. Tall, broad, completely motionless. It wasn't a shadow. Shadows don't breathe. I could hear its breathing from across the hall. Deep, wet, thick. I thought maybe it was a real person who broke in. But the shape wasn't normal. It seemed wrong around the edges, like it was flickering but solid at the same time. It took one slow step toward me, then another. I couldn't scream, couldn't call for help. My throat locked. It stopped halfway down the hall and tilted its head, way too far to the side. It was studying me. Then it whispered something. Not English, not any language I recognized. Low, raspy, almost curious. I scrambled backwards over the couch before I even realized I was moving. My phone was on the armrest. I grabbed it and turned the flashlight on. The beam shot down the hallway, and the figure vanished. Instantly, like smoke hit by the wind. But the hallway wasn't empty. There were wet footprints on the carpet, leading right up to the couch. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Maya got home 2 days later. I didn't tell her everything, but I asked if anything strange had ever happened there. She hesitated, then said quietly, "There was an incident. Years ago, before I bought the place. A man went missing. They think he wandered in from the woods behind the property. Hunters found some of his clothes near the creek, but they never found the body. I asked if he lived here. She said no, but neighbors claimed he was often seen on this property, right around the time he disappeared. And when she said his height, it matched exactly what I saw. I stayed one more night because my ride couldn't come until the morning. I slept with every light on, fully dressed, sitting upright. Nothing happened, but I could feel it. Something pacing the hallway, stopping every so often, listening, waiting for the lights to go out. I never went back after that. Even now, if I'm in a house alone and hear the faintest shuffle in the hallway behind me, my stomach drops and I freeze, because I'm terrified that one day I'll turn around and he'll be standing there again, tilting his head, breathing that slow, heavy breath, studying me, waiting. I've worked as a police dispatcher for 8 years now, and most nights blur together into a mix of traffic stops, noise complaints, and the occasional domestic dispute. Nothing glamorous, nothing cinematic, just a headset, a glowing screen, and 12 hours of voices belonging to people who want help or want trouble. But out of all the calls I've taken, there's one that still knots up my stomach when I think about it. One that made me question what exactly counts as real. One that made me start leaving my hallway light on every night, even though I'm 34 and not the type who gets spooked easily. This happened in 2019, during a slow autumn shift. I remember because it was one of those strangely warm late October nights where the air felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. The station was quiet enough that you could hear the hum of the vending machine. Then a call came in. Not a 911 call, the direct dispatch line. Almost nobody outside the department even knows the number. I answered with the standard greeting. "Police dispatch, what's the..." A man cut me off. Very soft voice, like someone speaking in a library. He said, "You're home alone tonight, aren't you?" My first thought was wrong number. The second thought was a prank. The third thought was someone who somehow knew my schedule. I sat up straighter and forced some authority into my voice. "This is a direct emergency line. Identify yourself." He didn't. Instead, he said my name, my full name. I never stayed on the line. It's not listed anywhere publicly. The only people who know it are officers, supervisors, and my ex, who moved states months earlier. I didn't respond. For a moment, all I heard was quiet static, like someone breathing through fabric. Then he said, almost sounding amused, "I've been waiting for you to pick up. I don't like when strangers answer." My hand tightened on the mouse. We get weird calls, sure, but this felt different. Personal in the wrong way. Intrusive. "Sir, misuse of this line is a crime. If you..." "No," he said. "I'm not misusing it. I'm warning you." That threw me off. Warning me of what? There was a pause. A long one. long enough that I pulled up the call trace screen. Blocked, completely masked. The system couldn't even read what county he was calling from. He finally spoke again. "You shouldn't leave your blinds open at night." My heart hit my ribs. My apartment blinds were open. I had left them open when I rushed to my shift. Nobody should know that unless they were looking. Then he said, "You look tired today. You should sleep more." I swear the temperature in the dispatch room dropped. I could feel cold sweat down my spine. "How do you know where I live?" My voice didn't sound like mine. He didn't answer the question. He just whispered, "He's getting closer." I froze. Who's getting closer? Still whispering, "The man inside your walls." Before I tell you the rest, seriously, double check your blinds and your hallway real quick. And if you're into real stories that twist your stomach and keep you awake a little longer than you planned, hit subscribe, like, comment, and share so more people find these. It helps more than you think. Signaling. I muted my headset and waved at the sergeant across the room. He took one look at my face and walked over fast. Before he reached me, the caller spoke again. "Don't tell him. He can't help you." My breath hitched. He couldn't see me, right? He couldn't know I was signaling for help, right? The sergeant mouthed, "Stalker?" I nodded. I unmuted. "What is your name?" But the line went silent. Not disconnected, just silent. I said, "If you continue." Static crackled loudly through the earpiece, nearly making me drop the headset. Then the man whispered, "Be quiet. He's listening." Something thumped faintly on the other end. A soft, hollow sound, like someone knocking on drywall. Once, twice, 3 times. The mic picked it up clearly. The sergeant's eyes widened. He whispered, "Is that coming from his side or ours?" I didn't answer. I didn't know. Because the knocks, they didn't sound like phone audio. They sounded close. Too close. The caller inhaled sharply. "He's in your walls right now. I hear him moving. Behind your bed." My throat went dry. Behind my bed. That wall separates my bedroom from my neighbor's unit. But my neighbor was a nurse who worked night shifts. She wasn't home. I tried staying professional. "Are you in danger? Are you reporting a break-in?" He didn't answer. Instead, his voice shifted into something low and shaky. Fearful. Real. He found the crawl space. I can hear him. He's dragging something. I signaled the sergeant again. He immediately began tracing neighboring calls, checking recent break-in reports, and scanning for anything remotely connected. But then the caller whispered something so quietly I almost missed it. "He's not looking for me. He's looking for you." The hair on my arm stood straight up. "Why? Why me?" "He said your name." "What did he say exactly?" "You know what he said. He said he likes how you breathe when you're nervous." My throat closed up. I couldn't speak. The sergeant was already alerting patrol units to sweep the area near my apartment. Static swelled again through the line. Then a crash. Something falling. The caller gasped. "He's here." "Get out." I snapped. "Leave the building now." But all he said next was, "It's too late." The phone rustled violently. It fell sideways. Then footsteps. Fast. Running. A door slamming. Then a sound that still makes my skin crawl. A choked, wet groan. Barely human. Followed by nothing. Just silence. No hang-up tone. No static. Just dead air. We kept the line open until it auto-cut from inactivity. Officers searched the address associated with the last ping. An abandoned house. Condemned. Empty. No lights. No power. No furniture. No sign anyone had been there in years. And that crawl space he mentioned, it was sealed shut with old boards. No way in or out without tools. They checked my apartment too. No signs of tampering. No break-in. No footprints. Nothing in walls. But that didn't make it better. It made it worse. Because whoever called knew details about my home that nobody else knew. Details he shouldn't be able to see, or hear, or describe. I changed apartments a week later. Moved across town. Changed my number. Changed everything I could. But last month, 3 years after the call, I got a letter. No return address. Just a single piece of paper inside. Handwriting I didn't recognize. No greeting. It said, "I can hear you breathing again." And taped to the paper was a tiny white chunk of something. Dry, crumbly, like old plaster from a wall. I didn't show anyone the letter. I burned it in my sink. But sometimes, when the apartment is quiet and the pipes aren't running, I swear I hear faint knocking behind my bedroom wall. Slow, hollow, rhythmic. Once, twice, 3 times. The same way it sounded on the call. The first snowfall of the year arrived early that December, coating the small Pennsylvania town in a thin, shimmering layer of white. It was the kind of night people stayed indoors, made tea, and watched movies. The kind where the world felt muted, like sound had been turned down. And that was exactly why Lena noticed the footsteps. She had the house to herself. Her husband, Noah, was deployed overseas. The silence was supposed to feel peaceful, safe, ordinary. But ever since she moved into Noah's childhood home while he was away, something felt slightly off. The guest room at the end of the hall always seemed colder, even with the vent open, even with the door shut. The thermostat never changed it. The dog refused to go near it. Visitors always glanced toward it without knowing why. But Lena tried to ignore all that. She was practical, logical, and exhausted from work. She only wanted a quiet night. At 8:17 p.m., she heard the first sound. A soft creak, like weight shifting on the old wooden floorboards upstairs. She froze in the living room, steaming mug in hand. Then came another creak, then a third, always in the same pattern. Slow, measured, walking. She swallowed hard. The house was supposed to be empty. The dog, Murphy, lifted his head from his blanket and stared directly up at the ceiling. His ears pinned back. His body is trembling. Lena set her mug down. She told herself houses made noises. Wood expands. Pipes settle. Snow adds pressure. But Murphy's reaction wasn't something she could rationalize. He started whining, staring at the ceiling with the kind of fear animals never fake. The footsteps continued, crossing the upstairs landing, pausing outside the guest room door, then starting again. She couldn't bring herself to go upstairs. Instead, she grabbed her phone and walked toward the base of the staircase, listening. The footsteps stopped. The silence that followed felt thick, suffocating. Then the guest room door clicked. Not loudly, just a faint metallic shift, like old hinges adjusting. Murphy whimpered and backed away. Lena's breath trembled in the cold air. The heat wasn't running. She hadn't noticed until now how cold the entire house felt. She stepped backwards, her hand brushing the front door behind her. If someone was upstairs, she needed to leave. Call the police from outside. But as she reached for the door handle, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It read, "Don't leave yet." Her stomach knotted. Another text appeared immediately after. She doesn't like when people leave. Her hands shook as she typed back. "Who is this? How do you know where I live?" 3 dots appeared. Typing, then a strange message. "Listen carefully." She didn't move. Murphy pressed against her leg. Another message came in. "Go back to the living room." Slowly, fear made her chest tighten. "No. Who is upstairs?" The reply came instantly. "Don't look yet." As she stared at the screen, she heard something new. Breathing. Upstairs. Slow and shaky. Coming from the direction of the guest room. A floorboard popped. Footsteps started again, heading toward the top of the stairs. The phone buzzed. "Do not go up there." Her pulse hammered against her temples. If you're watching this and your house ever makes a sound you swore wasn't just settling, this is the moment to subscribe, like, comment, and share so these stories reach more people. It really helps the channel. And well, you're going to want to stick around for the rest. And Bannister. Lena backed farther away as the footsteps reached the top of the staircase. Murphy growled, something he hadn't done in years. Then the breathing changed. It became excited, almost eager. A pale hand gripped the banister. Just a hand at first. Small, thin, fingers curled sharply over the wood. Lena's lungs seized. She fumbled for the front door, but the phone buzzed again. If you run, she'll follow. Tears blurred her vision. Who is she? What do you want? The reply came slowly this time. I tried to warn them, the two. A cold rush spread through her. Who? Another message. The previous owners. That made her legs go weak. She didn't know much about the family who lived here before. No one ever wanted to talk about it. Only said they moved out in a hurry. The hand gripping the banister twitched. Her heart stopped, because the fingers weren't quite right. Too stiff, too pale, as if they were made of wax. Murphy barked sharply. Another step creaked. Something was slowly descending the stairs. Her phone buzzed. Don't look at her face. What does that even mean? She thought, choking on fear. Then her screen lit up again. She chooses the lonely ones. She jolted. I'm not lonely. A beat. Then, you are now. The thing on the stairs stepped into view. It wasn't a woman. Not anymore. Long tangled hair fell forward, covering a face she couldn't see. The limbs moved unnaturally, like they were being pulled by strings. Each step made the floor groan, and Lena understood instantly. The guest room wasn't cold because of the insulation. The dog wasn't avoiding it because of the smell. This thing had been there all along. It reached the final step and stopped. The hair shifted slightly, as if something beneath it breathed. Her phone buzzed again. She doesn't know you see her. Don't move. Lena stood frozen, tears streaming down her cheeks. Murphy whimpered and pressed against her leg, shaking violently. The figure's head jerked, like it was listening, sniffing the air. Her phone buzzed. Say your husband's name. Her throat tightened. Why? She listens for names. The thing tilted its head. Another buzz. If you don't say his name, she'll pick a different one. Her mind raced. Pick a name? For what? Her hands trembled violently as she whispered, Noah. The figure shuddered, like a puppet reacting to a tug. And then, it slowly turned away. It drifted back toward the stairs, movements still jerky, unnatural. The house groaned as it ascended. Murphy whined and pressed his head into Lena's leg. Lena watched, unable to breathe, as the figure disappeared back into the darkness upstairs. The footsteps receded, soft, slow, until the guest room door closed with a faint, final click. Her phone vibrated. You have until sunrise. Another message. Leave before she learns your name. Her body snapped into motion. She grabbed Murphy, grabbed her keys, bolted out the front door, and didn't stop running until she reached her car. She drove through the snowstorm, barefoot, shaking violently, not caring where she went as long as it was away. She never went back. When Noah returned 3 months later, the two of them moved states. The house was left abandoned. On their last night in town, Lena received one final text from an unknown number. No greeting, no name, just a single sentence. The guest room is waiting. I think the part that still gets me even now is how calm the voice sounded. Almost bored, like someone calling a colleague instead of a stranger sitting alone in his apartment. This happened back in 2011. I was living in a tiny one-bedroom place above a bakery. Nothing fancy, just a space I crashed in after long shifts. Around 12:40 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number, which already felt weird because I didn't give out my number casually. I answered anyway. A man said quietly, "Don't go near your door." Just like that. No build-up, no emotion. Just a flat warning. And you know that moment when your body realizes something before your brain catches up? My chest tightened. I remember sitting up so slowly it felt like my bones were glued together. I asked, "Who is this?" He said, "You don't need to know. Just stay away from the door." Then he hung up. For a few seconds, I honestly thought it was a prank. Some friends are messing around. But before I could even put the phone down, I heard footsteps outside my apartment. Heavy, slow, the kind that don't hide their presence. I'm holding my breath, staring at the door like I'm waiting for it to exhale. Then, the doorknob turned. Not a jiggle, not a knock. Someone was actually trying to get in. I remember thinking, if I stay completely still, maybe they'll believe I'm not home. The knob turned again, harder. Then it stopped. A long silence followed. Too long. The only way I can describe it is the air in the room felt like it had weight, like something was thinking on the other side of the door, choosing. After maybe 30 seconds, the footsteps moved away, down the stairs, out of the building. I waited 10 minutes before even breathing properly again. Then my phone buzzed. Same unknown number. This time, the message was just 5 words. You're safe. For now. And the number was never called again. I changed apartments 2 weeks later. But every once in a while, especially at night, I'll catch myself staring at my door, wondering if someone is standing quietly on the other side, choosing. I keep telling myself that none of it should matter anymore. It's been years. People forget worse things. But there's something about silence, real silence, the kind that follows you around like a shadow. It brings everything back. And whenever the nights get too long, I remember that building. I remember the way it felt like someone was breathing just behind me, and how I didn't even realize it had been studying me the whole time. This happened when I was 25, a weird age where you're barely holding your life together, pretending you know what you're doing, and secretly hoping nobody notices how lost you are. I had moved into a cheap apartment on the far end of the city. I didn't have many options back then. Rent was low, neighborhood was quiet, and the walls were thick enough to hold secrets, which felt comforting at the time. Funny how the things that comfort you at first end up destroying you later. The building was old, painfully old, the kind where the wallpaper peels like sunburned skin, and the lights flicker not because of wiring issues, but because the place feels tired. My unit was on the 3rd floor. Small kitchen, narrow hallway, a single bedroom with a window facing an alley. Not the safest alley, if I'm honest. The kind where stray cats fight at 3 a.m. and drunk men talk to things that aren't there. I moved in on a Tuesday. By Thursday, I realized something was off. Not terrifying, just wrong. Whenever I went to bed, I hear the sound of someone shifting their weight near my bedroom door. Not walking, not pacing, just the quiet pressure of a body leaning, like someone standing there with their ear pressed to the wood, waiting for me to fall asleep. I tried to ignore it. New places have weird noises. Old buildings settle, pipes breathe, walls creak. Except this wasn't the building settling. It was a rhythm, a familiar human weight, the kind you feel without hearing. I started sleeping with the lights on, just a small lamp on my nightstand. Childish, but it gave me the illusion of control. And control was something I was rapidly losing. On the 5th night, things escalated. I had been tossing and turning, trying to get comfortable, when I felt it, not heard. Felt. The air in the room shifted, like someone had stepped inside. A slow, warm displacement. I froze, eyes open. I stared at the wall in front of me, but not really seeing anything. My first stupid thought was that maybe I forgot to lock the front door. My second thought was that if someone was actually in my apartment, I was already too late. Then came the sound, a soft scrape, like fingernails dragging lightly across the paint near the hallway. It lasted maybe 3 seconds, long enough to make my lungs clench. I wanted to get up and check, but my body refused to move. Fear freezes you in the most humiliating ways. The scraping stopped, and then nothing. But that kind of nothing is worse than any noise. It's the nothing that waits, the nothing that watches. After about an hour of staying perfectly still, I finally worked up the courage to sit up and turn fully toward the door. It was closed, perfectly normal, perfectly harmless. But the feeling, you know how you can walk into a room and instantly know someone's been in there? Not because anything is touched or moved, just because the air isn't the way you left it? That's how it felt. I sat awake until the sun came up, then went straight to work without showering or eating. I didn't want to turn my back on the hallway long enough to do either. The next few days were quiet, almost peaceful, which made it worse somehow. Because when something wants your attention, total silence is just the inhale before the scream. Then came the 8th night. This was the night everything snapped. I was lying in bed, exhausted from a week, too tired to even think. My lamp was still on, casting a weak golden glow across the room. At some point, I drifted into a half-sleep. Not fully gone, not fully awake. That's when I heard the whisper. It wasn't words. It wasn't even a voice. It was more like a breath forming a shape. A murmur pressed through a throat that wasn't human. It came from right beside my ear. My eyes snapped open so fast my head hurt. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stared ahead, too terrified to even look at the space next to me. Then slowly, the whisper came again. Closer, like someone leaning in, lips almost brushing my skin. That did it. I bolted upright and stumbled out of bed, heart punching my ribs. The room was empty, but the corner near my closet felt wrong. Darker, not visually darker, just heavier, like the space itself was holding something tightly. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam swept across the walls, the floor, the ceiling. Nothing at all. And somehow that emptiness felt intentional. Like whatever had been there stepped back on purpose to keep me guessing. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I started dozing off at work, barely holding myself together. On the 10th night, the building finally showed its hand. It was around 2:30 a.m. I had given up on sleep and was sitting on the couch, staring at the TV that wasn't even turned on. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Twice. Slow, deliberate. Then the hallway outside my apartment creaked. Not random, settling creaks. These were footsteps. Measured. Patient. They stopped right outside my door. I grabbed my phone, hand shaking, thumb hovering over the emergency number. But something told me not to call. Something cold, instinctive. Like the building itself didn't want me to reach help. Then the doorknob turned. Not fast. Not aggressive. Just a slow twist. As if someone wanted me to hear it clearly. To understand that I had never really been alone in that place. I stared at the door, unable to look away. The knob turned a little more, then stopped. I think the silence afterwards was even worse. It dragged out for 30 seconds, maybe more. I could hear my pulse in my ears. Then, from the other side of the door, a sound, a whisper. Only this time, it formed a real word. Finally, that was enough. Something in my brain snapped. I didn't think. I didn't gather anything. I just ran. I sprinted to the fire escape window, yanked it open, and climbed down the metal stairs barefoot, cutting my feet on the edges, shaking so badly I nearly slipped. I didn't stop running until I reached the main road. I never went back. Not for my clothes. Not for my things. Nothing. I didn't care what I left behind because whatever was in that apartment, it wasn't done with me. It had been waiting, watching, learning how to approach. And I couldn't shake the feeling that if I had stayed even one more night, it wouldn't have stopped at the door. It would have come inside, and it would have known my name. Sometimes I lie awake now, years later, listening to the quiet hum of my new apartment. And if the night is too still, if the air feels too heavy, I swear I can hear a slow, patient breath behind my bedroom door, the same rhythm as before, almost as if the building finally found where I live now. And it's waiting for me to fall asleep.